and welcome to the business of being a virtual assistant. I'm your host, Tiffany Parson, and you're watching and listening to episode number 232. Not too long ago, we talked about celebrating ourselves. Well, today we are going to talk about how to handle losing clients. We're going to talk about how to handle losing clients. This may be a frustration you're having. It may be a disappointment, but I want to talk to you about how to handle that because it's going to happen if it hasn't happened already. The first thing to know is that clients will love you, love what you're providing, appreciate what you're providing, but still leave at the same time. So don't think it's because of something that you did. It could be whatever circumstances are going on their end. However, the aftermath of this is our response. How do we handle it separate from them? Maybe they called and let you know, you got an email to let you know. I want to talk to you about what happens after you've smiled and let them know you understand or wrote that you understand, whatever the case may be. How do you handle it when no one else is around? I'm going to give you some tips on that. So, a couple of months ago, I told my team that we are in the growth phase. We're in our growth phase. We started as a team during 2020. And even though I had been running my virtual assistant business solo for about 14 years, we're starting as a team. Initially, while I knew it was like starting over, it really hit me midway that you're starting over. You're starting from scratch. And you have clients, but as far as how to grow it separate from you, you're starting from scratch. And so, like I said, a couple months ago, told them we're going into the growth phase. Not too long after I told them that, one client had to end her contract, another client had to reduce their services. And I'm like, but but we're going through the growth phase. Then it occurred to me, not on my own, the Holy Spirit reminded me that in order to grow, in order to birth something new, something different, you got to go through a pain. And a pain in business is loss of a client. And it's not necessarily a physical pain, but it's a discomfort, it's a change, it's a disappointment. So, what do you say to yourself? It's easy to want to crawl up in a ball and be like, oh, they rejected me. I don't know. What did I do? It's my fault. It's not. None of that. The first time it happens, it's okay for you to be that like that. It's okay. But I want to encourage you to check your emotions at the door and recognize it's business. It's not personal. What did I say earlier? Clients will love what you're providing for them. They'll appreciate you. They'll appreciate what you've done, but still leave you. Doesn't have anything to do with you. Now, when it does have something to do with you, you know. You know when you messed up. So that's the obvious. We're not talking about that. That's the obvious, right? It's a good time to start looking at your pricing and your services. Now, this may sound strange because you're thinking, but Tiffany, you just lost a client. What do you mean look at pricing and services? Do you mean lower the price, offer more, stand on my head? No, this is what I mean. So, a client that reduced their services, that meant I had to go back and recalculate our new agreement. And in the process of calculating the new agreement, I realized how low low the rate was before. I said, Lord, this is a blessing because the rate was too low for all the things we were doing. Too low. I can't stress it enough. Too low. So I recalculated and got it back on track for the new agreement, lesser services, but a better rate. Of course, they aren't paying more than they were paying before because it's less. They're doing less. We're doing less, but a price adjustment. So it wasn't a big difference. But I'm so thankful that happened because it forced me to like, okay, wait a minute, let me really look at this. And the helpful thing is that because you've already worked on the client's project, you know what it entails, you know how long things take. So if they're taking something off the table and you're restructuring things, it's a perfect time for you to look at those rates and say, okay, I know what all is involved. Maybe it was the first time you provided a service and you weren't sure. Maybe you had, done different pieces, but when it all became a package, you just, weren't sure. So, how many of you all know today's price is not the final price? Things change. So, anyway, recalculate. What a blessing. What a blessing. And then the other client that had to discontinue her contract altogether, while it was a loss of income, it also helped us to refocus on what we're doing, what services we love, what services we know we can give the best results for. And so it was kind of a relief. It was kind of a relief, which was great news for me in reporting this back to my team, because one thing about having a team, when you experience loss of a client, now you have to go and tell your team. And I felt like I was disappointing them. Totally out of my control. It's no different from, when it's just you and you lose a client and you want to crawl up into a ball because you feel like it's my fault. What did I do? It's out of your control. Once it happens one time, you develop a thicker skin. And you know it's going to happen again. Now, it shouldn't happen again and again and again, but it's going to happen, right? The more clients we get, we're going to lose some here and there, and that's okay for whatever circumstances. Again, when it's your fault and you're losing a client versus they are changing structure or they don't need a particular thing anymore. Here's where we find the light at the end of the tunnel. Figuring out what makes you different from someone else. What sets you so far above them finding someone else that when they leave, because they'll still leave, when they leave, you will be missed. It doesn't have anything to do with how great you schedule social media posts or how you're always on time with their, quarterly reports or bookkeeping or Pinterest pins or research, data entry, whatever it is that you're doing for your client. It's beyond that. It's beyond that. You, as a person, leave a lasting imprint in the way not only you serve your clients, how you do it as well. How you even handle, we're going to call it a breakup. How you handle the breakup makes you unforgettable. How you handle their project all along makes you unforgettable. How you communicated makes you unforgettable. How you followed up, how you checked in before they had to say something makes you unforgettable. To where when they're ready, they'll come back. Especially if it was something they had to put a pause on. When they're ready, they'll come back. The key for us is to not let loss get to us. Develop that thick skin because it's just business. Understanding that it's out of your control. Knowing that you did your best. You put your best foot forward. And moving forward. Moving forward. You can feel how you're feeling, but move forward. I hope this helped you to get past losing a client if you've experienced that already. Or when it happens, I want you to remember, come on back to this episode so you can move past it and move forward. Thank you so much for taking the time out to listen and watch today's episode. You have a wonderful and fantastic day. Which one is the clicker?